Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning.
Hello to all of our listeners and welcome to the Unveiling Paradise podcast show. Hello, Tessa.
Hi, Joe.
Hey,
how are you?
Good. So good. Hey, Tessa, guess what I want to talk about today?
Tell me.
All right. I want to talk about trends. Weddings are so trendy. It's so weird to think like, oh my gosh, like when you think of like your grandma or your mom and their wedding gown, right? Like, you know, there's the fashion to it, right? Like the things that we were wearing back in the 70s and the zeros or whatever, they're dated, but weddings across the board, every single thing that you sprinkle on wedding, it's trendy. And those trends come and go. What I think is super fascinating, I don't know if you've seen this, but like wedding trends are on like steroids now with social media. I don't know about your feed, but for my feed, I swear to God, I'm seeing like all these super cool, like trendy things that happen, and they're there for a week, maybe a month, maybe a few days. And then it's like, that thing's not cool anymore.
I mean, I agree with you. There's definitely a lot of trends, but I mean, longer than a week. There's definitely more than a week of the trend, but it's definitely, you know, I think back to, you know, looking at pictures of brides in the 80s with the puffy sleeves and the big over the top dresses and the high hair, right? You had the bangs in a wave, right? Like you just have these really, really fun trends that, you know, that kind of say like, this is when the wedding happened. It dates things.
Okay, Tessa, but I don't think we're not just talking about fashion, right? We're talking about just trends, like things that you're seeing in your Instagram feed. Like for me, what am I seeing that like I think is right now trending? I've seen disco balls. Like, don't you feel like you're seeing disco balls that like, when did this happen? I love it, but like it's happening, right?
There's disco balls everywhere. Like, it's so cute. I love the vibe. I love the trend. But it just, you know, in the last year got really popular again. And it's kind of that mix of, you know, greenery and disco balls, or sometimes they do like fabulous chandeliers and disco balls. It's kind of that mix where they're not trying to be disco. They're not trying to go retro, but it's that add-on and kind of just those mixed textures that make it really, really fun.
Yeah, super cool. That's one that I love. I mean, I see a lot of this like in my like Instagram, and you even think about how important like TikTok has become to weddings, where it's like somebody has a song and then you have like these like kind of like fun reveals with like the bridesmaid getting into her dress or whatever, or, you know, like these kind of cool video hacks where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this with our video team or whatever. What I guess I want to talk about today though is like, we love trends, but like, and we love fashion, we love all these things, but we also want to make sure that we're not dating a wedding, that our wedding is still timeless. So like when people see a wedding, they're not like, oh, gross, that was like so like 3 months ago on TikTok, right? So today I want to take a deep dive into like, what are some of the trends we are seeing right now, and should they stay or should they go? So let's get started.
Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred & Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started.
Welcome back to the show. Today we are talking about, again, those popular wedding trends. What are the trends that people are really, you know, kind of playing now? What are the trends that are kind of gone? You know, Joe and I go to a lot of weddings. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, it's not that we just go to a lot of weddings, but also I think because we are in the industry, I don't know about you, but like my feed on my Instagram is full of weddings, everything. Like everything, it's wedding vendors posting stuff, but it's also like, I think the algorithm for Instagram is like, hey, we know you're into weddings, you
It's
weirdo.
watching you.
It's watching.
It's watching
They're like, you like weddings. You know?
It's true. Mine is too. I get a lot of the really cool, really elaborate weddings. So I think they know what I'm looking at.
You know what's really awkward though is like I actually am also into like inappropriate humor too. So like the algorithm says like you like weddings and you also like inappropriate humor. So they've also figured out that I also really enjoy watching wedding fails. They totally got it. Like I like that too. I don't know why. I'm a sicko.
So Instagram knows you well.
It does. But it's true. Like you just see, you sort of, especially, and I think probably if you're planning a wedding, your feed is probably overwhelming you with all of these trends. So I guess like it was really interesting. Like let's take a deep dive into some of these things that we're seeing. Should they stay? Should they go? Is it going to be something that you're going to regret doing if you hop on that trendy bandwagon? Or, you know, are they so cool that we should keep it?
And to be clear, when we're talking about trends, like you said, it's not just fashion. It's not just what you see, but it's some of the things that people are doing, right? So I want to talk about the first thing, and that's a first look.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's not new. That's probably almost a tradition now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was. I wish everyone did a first look with their partner. However, I'm talking about a first look with everyone except your partner. So what I mean is a lot of couples are doing a first look with their dad, first look with their bridesmaids, a first look with, you know, their mothers, their siblings, everyone other than their partner, which I think when we first started seeing this trend, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. It's so endearing. When all of a sudden this first look became this over-the-top experience with every single person. You know, I saw a bride do a first look with her brother, and she was expecting him to just be, oh my gosh, you look so fat. Yeah. But like, it's her brother. He's still like, so? And so she got really mad, you know, because she was like, why? You should be, they're looking at these over-the-top emotions and experiences on social media, and they're expecting that. And so if they don't get that, it almost makes them sad. They're expecting this emotion. They're expecting this big, over-the-top gesture.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so Tessa, like how many different first looks have you actually had at a single wedding? So you could be first look with your partner, first look with your parent, first look with your wedding entourage, first look with who else? I mean, like, your brother.
We've done first looks with like your partner's wedding party too.
Yeah.
You know, so this bride had a first look with her bridesmaids, and then she did a first look with the groomsmen too. And then, you know, again, we've done it where we've had it with parents, grandparents. We have one where, you know, she's really close to his family, so she's doing a first look with all of his family too. It adds a lot of time on your wedding day. Again, like in addition to it just being those expectations of how this is going to be, it adds a lot of time. You know, your family has to come early. I'm assuming you want them fully dressed, right? They're not going to do a first look when you're dressed up and they're in their pajamas.
Right.
So they have to get ready that much earlier too. If your venue is off-site, if you're not at a hotel, you're asking them to get there early too. I think they're cute. You just have to go in understanding the amount of time that it takes to make these happen for everybody.
So how many first looks is enough first looks? 1, 2?
I'm okay with 2.
Okay.
Anything more, you have to really be committed to it. You got to know that this is going to add time to photo, to video, to your family coming early. You know, anything more than 2, I think is a commitment.
Yeah, that's true. And actually it's funny because like I do see that a lot where it's like the reveal, the big reveal for the bride and her bridesmaids, right? Like you see that, and it's a cute moment. I think it's nice. But also like for me, one of the things that I think about is like, who's getting this girl dressed? Like, you know, usually that's your role. A bridesmaid is supposed to be your handmaiden, like helping you like with all those things, buttoning your dress, zipping your dress, you know, and all the things. And if you're not actually having those people in the room for that reason, you know, then it's different. The other thing that I really love about what you just said too is I do think that you do have to almost coach everyone what a first look is. So if dad's doing a first look, usually he doesn't have an idea what that's all about. A lot of times with our couples, like if it's a bride and groom, I always tell the groom, like, like, do you know what we're doing right now? Like, because like a lot of times they really don't know. And the last thing you want to do, have this big moment, and then it's totally anticlimactic, like what it was with that brother, right? Because then you're just like, you're so sad. You're not like, you're not really enjoying that. You're like, you're just so sad.
I think that's a great point. I think we do, you and I, we know what a first look. We have seen so many, we work through them. But, if the groom or your partner has not been involved in the planning and all of a sudden they read it in the timeline, like it doesn't mean they know what we're talking about. So I think it's really cool that you kind of break it down for them in like 10 seconds before it happens. Like, this is what's happening. Be ready. Please cry.
If you can't cry, just dote over your partner.
Right. Exactly.
A lot of doting. You'll never go wrong with that. Okay. What else are you seeing, Tessa? So like, what is something that's filling your feed right now?
So I don't have to say this, but I'm going to say it again, is I love cake.
Oh, they understand your algorithm. Yours is weddings plus cake.
It's all weddings. It's all cake. But one of the trends now, which I'm going to have to say that I do not love, is a small wedding cake. So it's kind of those vintage heart shape. They look very 80s. It's got a lot of piping, a lot of ribbons and bows. It's a small cake, maybe a 6-inch, and couples will pull it to the side and do a private cake cutting. So number one, say you have a wedding with 100 people. There's not enough cake for everyone. As a guest, I personally would be freaking out. Like, am I not going to get a piece of that tiny cake? Number two is instead of doing it during the program, they're just kind of cutting it on the side just for photos.
Okay, so you're talking about, and so instead of the giant like 3-tier cake you see at wedding, you're seeing like a private cake that would maybe feed like just
10,
2 people.
10 people. So it's a 6-inch cake. You can cut medium, small pieces and probably feed 10.
But it's not meant for everyone to share.
Unless you have only 10 people at your wedding.
See, I love that trend.
Do
though.
you?
Yeah, because like honestly, wedding cake sucks. It's like
so
it's
rude.
just gross.
So rude.
But like, it's a tradition that people want to keep around, having that wedding cake. But a lot of times, and correct me if I'm wrong, guests don't even eat the wedding cake because the fee to cut that cake is more expensive than the cake itself. And they choose to like take that cake and take it back or give it to their coordinator. But a lot of times, you know what I mean? Like that guests don't even get around to eating the cake. Why make this big fuss? Why not just get a tiny little cake?
I think it depends on the venue. Most venues, if it's their cake, you're not paying a cake cutting fee. You're paying for the actual cake as you would anywhere else. Or if you're at an outdoor venue, you're not paying a cake cutting fee. Why wouldn't you want a piece of cake? It is the celebration. It is fun. This little vintage heart cake that you pull to the side, cut when no one's looking, and just take it home. I'm not about it. I do not love this trend at all. I cannot wait for this little trend to end, or cut me a piece of that cake and we're okay.
Okay, well, I'm rooting for you.
Thanks so much. Again, I think the trend is kind of having this party and keeping things private for the couple. The next one that I want to talk about is kind of that private last dance. And this is a trend that's been popular for maybe a couple of years right now. It was really popular a while ago. I think it's kind of fading now, but I still see it happening. And it's that private last dance. So what that means is, say your event is supposed to be done at 10. We stop about half an hour early, so 9:30. Goodbye, all the guests leave, and the couple at the end gets their final dance by themselves in an empty space.
See, funny enough, I actually think that trend is dead. I don't see it very much. I don't like it. I think it's the weirdest thing to have like all your family and friends there and then just kick them out and be like, yeah, we're going to do a dance together by ourselves. Like, I think it's just strange. I think it's dead. I think that one has already been killed off. If you're still seeing it in your feed, that's interesting.
I'm still seeing it in my feed. I still have couples talking about it during the planning process. A lot of times for me, when we talk to them, I explain that if you want that captured, you need to have photo till the end or video till the end or something. So it's kind of logistically, is that what you want? Are you ready to say goodbye to your guest early? And I think it takes a certain couple to say, yes, kick out my family, kick out my friends. We want this private time to ourselves. Most of our couples now are, I want to party till the end with my family and friends. I don't want them to leave. Please let them stay. So it's opposite, but it is still in my feed. And again, I still have couples talking about it.
All right, here's one that's kind of interesting. And I've been just recently seeing this. It's this theme, upstaging the bride. Have you seen this? Do you know what this is all about?
Yeah, so I haven't seen it in real life yet, but it's all over my feed. And I love it. And so basically what it is, a lot of times in the wedding, they'll say, attire is formal or, tropical Hawaiian or, whatever, black tie. An upcoming popular attire theme now is Upstage the Bride. So they want you to go as fancy as you can, all out. So it's basically not just black tie, but it's elevated, over-the-top elegance. And I love it.
So you are not planning on like actually wearing a wedding gown as a guest, but anything else is okay?
I mean, I guess if you can still fit your wedding gown and you want to do it, like, it's all okay. It's all on the table.
Wow.
I love it. I love that idea because it's just these over the top. You've got to have a big personality to be okay with this, like be okay. But I have seen some of them on social media and it's just so cool because guests are just coming looking their best.
I love it, especially for photos when you see everyone is dressed to the nine. Like it's so great for photos. And I feel like everyone is there to make it more special. Like you could show up in jeans and t-shirt, right? But like what are you telling that couple? But if you're showing up, you're telling them that you're there to be there with them, to party with them, to celebrate with them on that same level.
Right. And I love it. And again, like I've seen some of these pictures and social media, videos, and they are in like sequins, ball gowns. Yeah. There's tiaras. There's, there's hair pieces. And it's so fun. Like, why wouldn't you want that for your wedding?
But not for everybody. So yeah.
No, not for everyone.
If you don't have a huge personality, probably going to be a weird.
I want to do that for my birthday party. I love it so much. Like this is probably one of my favorite trends that I see right now.
Perfect. Okay, good. Okay, next.
A trend that I've been seeing recently that I really like, it's funny because there are extremes. What I've seen on one end is no wedding party. So again, it's just a couple, no wedding party. They have their friends hanging out with them, but they're not dressed the same. They're not ordering bouquets, boutonnieres. Like it's just the couple. On the flip side, we've also been having 6, 7, 8, 9 person on each side wedding parties. So big wedding parties, but they're sitting down during the ceremony. So couples are looking for that one-on-one, just very private ceremony. Their wedding party may or may not be involved, but they sit in the front row or in the second row, depending on, if they have family there. I love this trend. I love that the couple and the officiant are kind of the center, the focus of the ceremony. So what are your thoughts?
Actually, what I think is really interesting is I am also noticing that there's not like big head tables where you have everyone sitting together. Usually it's just like the sweetheart table. And then the bridesmaids, groomsmen, they all will sit with their partners, whoever they came with their friends. And I actually like that a lot. I've been noticing on my feed about men's fashion more than ever. I think that the groom isn't just wearing a tuxedo. It's like all of the groomsmen. And I've been noticing that for Hawaii weddings, which is, again, like we tend to be a little bit more informal out here. We used to see that. But now it's like, man, I think guys are stepping it up. I think guys are like really dressing up. And I think you see that a lot in your feed too.
I love it too. The girls have had their time, like brides, bridesmaids, groomswomen, like they always look good. The girls put time and energy into their outfits. It is far long overdue that the gentlemen are stepping up their looks. I agree. I love it.
What about this though? And this is something that I see a lot, especially last year and this year, for the weddings we've already had. Men's colored suits. What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like at a lot of our weddings now, men are moving away from like a classic black suit or a classic black tux and like hitting those colors. So, navies and like a deep forest green, those are really popular. We're seeing like all kinds of different colors though.
It's funny because you can't go wrong with black. If you are in a clean black tux, it signals formal, it signals elegance. With these colored suits, just like women, you have to be careful with how you wear them. It is a suit, but is blue your color? Is orange your color? Just like, us women, if we're wearing a dress, I can't wear every color. I know, for example, bright yellow's not so great on my skin tone, so don't wear a bright yellow suit. I think guys have a lot more to think about now when they're dressing to match their skin tones. You also have to find the cut. Black, like always, is a lot more forgiving. So if these guys are going to try to step it up, they have to step it up.
What's funny, you and I did a wedding with a professional MMA fighter, and he wore kind of almost like a real bright turquoise almost. Would you say it was a turquoise?
It's
like a hard aqua.
Yeah.
Hard
it was
aqua.
nice.
And for him, it was a tailored suit. It was gorgeous. It fit his skin tones. It looked great. And he had, he was a professional MMA fighter. He had a personality that was like, I'm going to wear a hard aqua suit, or
and he rocked it, and he looked good.
Yeah. So you have to know, I think it also has to fit your personality type too.
Exactly.
It's kind of a bold move.
It's a bold move.
Okay, Tessa, what's interesting is I've been noticing this when we're photographing details at the reception. I'm noticing that people are moving away from actually putting out favors. So you know what a favor is? Like it's a cookie or a tchotchke or whatever it is. But like I'm noticing that's missing at weddings, where it used to be like almost like commonplace. You have to do it.
And I think the funny thing is, they're either gone, where people are spending their money on something else, or they're choosing to put it on a table versus on their dinner tables, like a table on the side, because they've spent all this money on their design and their decor, and they don't want like a random cookie or a random pair of chopsticks, or, they don't want it on their table because it doesn't go with their aesthetics. So they may have a favor, but put it on the side, or no favors. There's a lot of again, those feed on my social media that talk about spend your money somewhere else. No one missed the favors. I think we've talked about it on our podcast too. Put your money somewhere else. If you're not a big favor person, if you don't want to spend money on it, don't do that.
Yeah. And if it has the word tchotchke in it, nobody wants it.
I don't even know how to spell it. It's a funky spelling, right? Tchotchke. Is it a T?
Yes, in the Z, silent F.
What?
There's a lot of letters.
Wild. If you can't spell it, you can't have it.
Fine, deal. Okay.
Joe, if we're talking about social media, we have to talk about content creators.
Yeah.
So not only am I seeing trends on social media about weddings, but I am seeing weddings posted by content creators. And content creators, we've talked about this before, but they are kind of one of the newer vendors in the wedding game, where they are there on your wedding. They are capturing content for social media. So they are using their iPhones, they're catching short clips, and they're creating all these reels for you, which I think is really cool.
I think that content creating is probably the biggest growing industry right now in the wedding world. Like there used to be just a handful of content creators, and now there's like so many, and there's so many different styles. And I think it's really exciting, and again, like I think for all of our couples who are getting married, like they're living and breathing a wedding on their Instagram and their TikTok. Like that's where they're getting a lot of inspiration, so I think I think that trend is absolutely here to stay.
100% agree. Again, social media is such a huge part of wedding planning now. Why wouldn't you want to have a content creator? Why wouldn't you want to have all of the details captured for social media?
This next one I want to talk about is sort of, for me, is about just my own observations at weddings. One of the things that I have been noticing is that a lot of the kind of staple traditions of weddings that you would think, oh, this is what you do at a reception, the garter toss, the bouquet toss, maybe even some of the parent dances, cake cutting. Like a lot of people are just slashing and burning those things. They're not having those formal programs at wedding receptions. Have you been noticing that?
I've definitely seen that a lot. People are wanting to get to the dancing as early as they can. So anything they can cut, they'll cut. A lot of times they'll do speeches during their dinner, their welcome dinner or their rehearsal dinner. They may do a first dance. They may do parent dances, but they're cutting a lot of the, just the ancillary. Again, the cake cutting is private, so they're not trying to do it during their program. People are eating, they step to the side and they cut their cake. They'll do a fun toast, but that's it. They keep the speeches shorter. Really, in the past, speeches were, 3 to 5 minutes is kind of what we said was average. People are doing speeches now 1 to 2 minutes. It's quick. It gets to the point. They cheers and they move on. And I think people are really, really liking that ability to just go into dancing as early as possible.
The other thing that I noticed too, instead of a grand entrance where the couple comes in and they dance by themselves, like this is what I'm seeing a lot. The DJ will bring everyone at that moment to the dance floor. And you start your reception with everybody dancing. I know in like different cultures, like in Persian culture, they start with dancing. Like a lot of Indian weddings, they start with dancing. But now like you go straight into dancing before you start dinner. Maybe it's 1 or 2 songs, but it's just like pure excitement, pure fun, pure mayhem. Like what a great way to start your wedding reception.
Another trend that I've been seeing, and I'm torn. I love and I hate this trend, is the outfit changes. And hear me out. I love when a bride or groom changes their outfit. Sometimes they change and it takes like 30 minutes to change. And you've pulled yourself away from your party for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Is it worth it? So if it's a quick change, if it's let's throw off my dress and put on a fun one, I think it's great. Or even a lot of times the guys will change from a tux to a nice shirt and slacks or something. Quick change. We have had brides where they have bought 2 equally fabulous wedding dresses and they want to get into it and then change the other one and then go back at the end of the night. And it takes time and they're bustled and there's, a corset back or buttons and there's so much involved that you're pulling them away for, 30 minutes to an hour from their wedding to do this. Those are the ones where, is it worth it? Is it worth your time to be away from your guest? Or is it better to just stay in your dress or stay in your outfit and spend quality time with your family and friends?
Yeah, I love that. I love seeing these little cute like party dresses, little cocktail dresses that like our bride will change into. You see that in your feed all day long. What I don't like though is if the groom doesn't change or he changes his outfit to be less formal or it doesn't match, then I think it clashes. So if you're going to do an outfit change, make sure you match your partner. Like you both should change into your party outfit.
So if one person doesn't want to change, then tough luck.
Then don't do it.
Oh, that's a hard one.
In my feed, of course, I'm getting a lot of photography, right? A lot of photos from other weddings. I see like the resurgence of a lot of flash photography. I think that was starting to trend. So like not just like studio lighting, but like on camera, hard light, like paparazzi style photos. And then I think there's also this kind of like, I don't know, like there's this movement to photo imperfection, right? Like people are gravitating to these images where like the photos aren't in focus. It has more of that lived in real moment. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
The fuzzy photos are real weird to me personally. Like when they're kind of blurry, like I get that it's trendy, but for me, when I'm thinking about wedding photography, and I'm thinking about it 2 ways, if you're a model and you have those photos and it's a photo shoot, that's great. But this is your wedding, like you're going to want to look at these photos 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Your family, your kids are going to be looking at these photos. Are those the pictures you want them to see, right? At the end of the day, how are these photos going to be kept? What are you going to do with them, right? I think they're cool if you're just trying to use them for social media or just for something trendy. But to me, that is such a huge trend that later down the line, when you're showing it to your kids, it's not going to make sense, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those age-old questions. You want your photos to be timeless. You don't want to get caught up in this sort of trendy thing that in like a month or 3 months or 3 years is going to be super dated. It's always a struggle because I know as a photographer, like a lot of editing trends come and go. And I think it happens at a much quicker pace than it had in the past. So again, like I like anything that evokes a lot of emotion, but I think this is always the issue for photography. Like trends come and go and you want your wedding photos to be timeless. So what are those trends that are going to last for a year or 6 months? And what are those things that are going to be timeless? That's what you want for photos. So I don't know where we'll be in a couple of years with the hard flashes and the motion blurred photos.
So speaking of flashes, I think one trend that I do love, that I do really get behind, are just kind of these unique activations. And what I mean by that, and what I'm talking about in my head right now, are portrait lounges. So that is, instead of a photo booth, you have a lot of times either lounge furniture or you have just this really cool setup. It's taken from the Vanity Fair after party of the Oscars, right? And you have this setup with the studio lighting, right? So it's a lot of flash, it's a lot of lighting, and you're posed, just so you have a live photographer there posing you, getting you, looking your best and getting these studio photos at a wedding. And I love that.
Yeah, and this is something that we're getting a lot of requests for at weddings is portrait photography. So again, like to all our listeners, what is the difference between regular photography and a portrait studio? You're talking about lights that make your skin tones look flawless. Like this is what portrait photography has always been. And smoothing skin tones and having, like that really flattering light. What's really fun is you're seeing that now trending where people want to do these, not just kind of goofy photo booth pictures, but they want to have professional looking portraits where they're dressed up with their guests and everything. And I love it. I think it's fun. I think that's something that, is going to be a staple in the next couple of years.
For sure. Again, it's those unique activations that your guests can enjoy, right? A lot of times when I'm talking to couples, they're like, how do I give my guests a really great experience, right? Good food, good drink. The portrait lounge is a huge one. Something that I've been seeing recently that I love are the live painters. And so it's two-part, right? Is you have these paintings that they're doing of the couple at the ceremony or whatnot. But we've also seen a lot, and this is what I love, it's they're doing little watercolors of your guests. When we spoke about no favors, I changed my mind and I want favors because they create these really cool little pictures. So say, you and your wife come to a wedding, they will snap a photo of you and then they do a quick watercolor for you to take home. And it's such a really, really fun, unique gift for your guests to take.
Yeah, but I wouldn't think those are favors. I think those are experiences. I mean, same like photo booth, those are prints that you give. It's something. It's an experience, but you have something to take home. I think traditionally favors are like cookies and tchotchkes, and that's it.
Well, couples nowadays think of their photo booth pictures as a favor.
Sure, why not? But again, it's also an experience. Like
that's the win. It's a favor and experience. Yeah. We're both right.
Perfect. It's really funny, Tessa, we've been in this industry for a while and, there used to be trends that were set, bridal magazines and publications and fashion shows and all that stuff. A lot of that stuff is so dated now. Social media is king. Trends live, breathe, and die on social media. The things we're seeing now on social media, I'm super curious if they're here to stay or if they're going to be gone in a few months. Okay, and let's turn this back to our listeners. Hey guys, what are you guys seeing? What are the trends that you're seeing that maybe we're not getting in our feed? We obviously know you are wedding cake. I am wedding tragedy. What does your feed look like? What are you seeing? Anything that we miss? Anything that you're like, oh my gosh, that's so gross, or I love this? Let us know. We always love getting your guys' emails. Send us your feedback, and we'd love to hear from you guys.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
is just a plane ride away.